Hey guys, it's Matt. I've got another game for you. This time I will be playing Tiansa, aka Matthew O'Connor. He's a NASPA about 1800s player. So here we go. I've played him in tournaments twice before. I am 0-2 against him in those games. One was a blowout. I made one mistake early and never got back in it, and the other one was a great game at Nationals that I blew because I forgot that a certain word took an S, and it did in fact take an S. So a little bit of bad blood about those games, and seeking revenge here. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't played already. Matthew generally plays very, very quickly. So maybe the camera makes him nervous. I got a U for my Q. That's pretty big. I'm not 100% sure you can spell auntie like that, actually. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. Actually, the U for my Q is not going to help. I'm not going to have anything available except souk. And if I'm going to do burn an S, like QIS is way better. So the U's not big at all. Man, it's starting to bother me looking at auntie like that. I think it's good, though. I'll go ahead and dump QIS. I'll play off the S because S's are going to be pretty terrible on this board, and no reason to keep two. And I pull a blank. That's very nice. I'm not going to bingo this turn unless I get some of the right tiles, embowers or something like that, but that's fine. Sitting on a blank is fine. Especially when I've got scoring consonants like I've got. I'll play like MEW at a J8. Looks pretty solid. And I really hope auntie's a word. I'm going to feel like a fool if it's not. Yeah, there's just not much to do right now. Wait for Tiansa to make a play and see what it gives me. So that's what I will do. There's his play, and that's interesting. It sets up an S. Luckily, I've got one of those. He probably could have telegraphed. I telegraphed an S pretty hard there, so I don't think he should have made that play. It's quite likely I've got one after G's. SMU is 35 points. I don't think I'm going to get better than that. Yeah, SMU's the play. And I pulled another bingo. Again, this one is going to go down. Gerbera for 72, or Gerbera. I have no idea how you say that word. I just know that it is a word. It might be a bush or something. Don't think it's terribly likely that spot goes away either. Well, maybe. He's going to need a 6 that overlaps here to justify a play there. Yeah, I don't know what his rack was with BAP, but I think you got to think harder about that position. And, I just put an S down for 5 additional points. It's pretty likely that I'm holding another one. You can't just throw that hook out in a triple line. That being said, there's not really anywhere else to play on this board if you don't have an I for underneath or an E for underneath here. So and this board is pretty much the shape I want it to be. I'd like to keep things closed against Matthew. Just a preference thing. I also just think playing on a closed board as a rule is more fun than playing on an open board. You get to set up all sorts of crazy stuff that on an open board wouldn't be a big deal. You know, if you're scoring an extra 2 points on average because of your setup, on a closed board where there's hardly any options, that becomes huge. Whereas on an open board, like whatever, it's so volatile. You know, if your opponent draws a bingo, nothing matters. If you draw a bingo, it doesn't matter. So. If he does block my bingo, I'm not in the best spot. I can play Reb down here, but that's not strong. He plays Loped. That takes a front E and a front S. I don't see any other bingos in here. I don't think I'm going to that L. Yep, I'm gonna play Gerbera. I don't like how that keeps Eloped and Sloped open. You know, I was just talking about having a nice closed board against him, and now it's pretty open because of this spot, but nothing I can do. I've got to play the bingo. I don't think there's a 7 in this rack, so that leaves me with one of those awkward, very bingo prone, but not actually going to bingo racks. And I feel like these are some of the hardest racks in the game to play. A lot of people would just immediately throw down UG wherever they can. Actually, I don't. I guess you could play Tug with two S's already out. That's actually a decent play. The odds that he's got one. I don't know if BAP was a setup, and maybe Loped was also an S setup. I can't know for sure, but yeah, a lot of people would just immediately throw down GU wherever they can see to play GU and keep stare. I feel like people generally overfish with racks like this. Oh, you can also play GUL there. That's quite solid. Matthew's going to bingo, and he did have an S, so maybe BAP was all right. Don't think I'm going through that E. Don't think I'm going through that R. Don't have any 7s, again, I'm pretty sure. Now in this situation, GUL looks like a strong play. I mean, I keep stare. That's awesome, right? Well, if I pull a bingo next turn, where am I going to put it? Like, if the E and the R stay open, those are lines that I guess I can play in. But if those get blocked, a bingo's not going down on this board, and stare becomes almost a useless leave. So I don't really want to make a play like that. I'm not certain that TERGA is a word. I think it is. That's 26. It keeps a far inferior leave, but there's also like plays like GRU, that's 19. Playing GUL is going to be kind of uncharacteristic for me here, but I'm going to gamble that the E and the R stay open, or if Matthew does decide to play over here, he'll play something underneath that'll give me a line for a 7, or he'll play something along here that'll let me overlap here. I just think it's so much stronger than the other options I've got available, especially since I'm a little uncertain of TERGA being good. I guess there's also Ruge, but not the biggest fan of that either. I mean, Argue would also go there, but I'd rather put the R up here. I'm going to play goal. I've pulled trapezes through the Z, or through the E rather. Spot is again probably not staying open because there's nowhere else to go. He's not going to have an S play here. He might have an L play, but that's pretty unlikely. I guess he could play down here. That actually bothers me that I didn't think about playing down here last turn. Arguer. That would have been decent. It's at least something I should have considered last turn. I don't think I would have played it, but oh well. I do have to decide where to play trapezes. This is 90. and this one is also 90. This one here sets up the Z pretty dangerously for an overlap. This one doesn't. It's going to also make it hard to play on the bottom part of the board without really forcing it. So I like this. It's more defensive than the other placement. Matthew can always open by making a play here, but I can address that as I need to. He plays up here. He plays down to that R. I don't think I bingo through that I. Don't think I bingo through that A. Don't think I bingo through that T. Don't bingo through that L. So I'm going to go ahead and bingo with trapezes. Pull 3 I's, but that's fine because I'll be able to play out of this pretty quickly. Nitrile is a word holding an I. I can always put that down somewhere, maybe. Maybe I can't on this board actually, but these are letters that are decent to have with a bunch of I's because there's a lot of words I can make out of it. I don't see any sort of 5 down ending in an L here, but the L might be a decent tile to keep for this spot, especially if the board continues to stay closed as it is right now. Trying to find ways to score with these I's. NT is going to be 10, but it's also going to be rather conducive to like an underlap play here. That will open this part. Oh no, both of the S's and all the blanks, or both of the blanks and all the S's are out. So I don't especially have to worry about him opening down here. Sir or sit or something like that would open E hooks, but not the biggest deal in the world if there's an E hook available. Nowhere near as important as an S hook. I've got Leary for 8. Again, I'm keeping IINRT, which a lot of people would be like, yeah, that's great, but again, we're on a very closed board right now, and IINRT is just not going to do much for me. Don't really want to play NT, don't really want to play Leary. I don't think I've got a word through this E, and even if I had one, I don't think I would play it. I mean, I've got, like, words, but nothing that gets rid of 2 I's. I don't think I've got any sort of user play. NT over here is just suicidal. The longer I look at this position, the more sense it makes to play NT here. LR is not incredibly synergistic, but there are definitely worse combinations of letters to be keeping. I do get to hold the L, that's a small perk. Just afraid of a cheap play down here. He didn't have vowels last turn, but he probably does by now. Like, he just played off 5 tiles. Let me think for a little bit harder. I don't want to rush through this turn just because I can't find anything. I am just not seeing anything else. So I'm going to play NT, and we'll see what Matthew can do. I don't really want to be drawing bingo racks like these. I mean, there are 8 possibilities for me, again, like redlined, but that's not what I need. Like, I don't need tiles that can bingo right now. I just want to run as fast as I can and keep trying to score more points than him. That being said, if Matthew decides to open the board like he's about to need to, since he's down by so much, I'm just going to hit him right back with the bingo, and that'll be that. I think one of the reasons, I used to have extremely high spreads at tournaments. I would routinely just be the guy with the most spread in the field. And I think the reason for that was that I would close down a board with a lead and then keep the most bingo-friendly tiles I could. And That led to me bingoing a lot when people tried to open boards up, which was fun, and I would end up winning by like 250. But, you know, sometimes that doesn't work out. That's a kind of crazy strategy. It doesn't need to happen. You need to play to win, not just to bingo on your opponent again. I've got drink. I don't think drinked is a word. But I don't like drink that much because it sets up enormous X possibilities right here. And the last thing I need to do is give Matthew an easy play back into this game. Dirndl is a stupid option. It's just setting up a bunch of stuff open down here. It doesn't give up the X, but it gives up so much else that it isn't worth it. I've got to make some sort of play down here. This is the only useful spot on the board. Relink, I am pretty certain is a word. It still gives up X possibilities and it keeps double Ds. I don't think D-link is a word. That would be nice if it were, but that would be the play if it were. Wonder if dinkled is good, but I sincerely doubt that. Dinkled. I can also just make a more conservative play like kind. Scores fewer points, but it still holds about a bingo lead. Holds a balanced rack in case Matthew wants to do something. And it doesn't give up the X play. That's the most important thing. I'm going to play kind. And I do draw 3 vowels, which is pretty important. I needed to get some vowels on that draw. I'd rather have 3 vowels than no vowels for sure. I've got potential for nice overlapping plays over here now. But I'm not actually seeing one. It's got to have an A there and an O there, but yeah, I'm not seeing one on this turn. But nice to have those tiles. A door is going to score a bunch of points over here. I've got 2 bingos with an N, but none of them end with an N. So Oleander reloaned. So nothing with this U. Yeah, I'm not bingoing this turn unless Matthew opens the board up. And again, I would not be surprised if he does at this point in the game, but this has been a relatively boring game. I think the most boring kind of Scrabble game is where one player bingos twice, the other player bingos once, and the player who bingos twice wins by about a bingo. Maybe I've got a nice parallel through this N, but I'm just not seeing it if it's there. Matthew still doesn't open the board, but he got 44 points. He could conceivably catch up. I've got Elodia here for 30. That allows me to keep running. He's not going to bingo from that E very often at all. He's not going to bingo from that L very often, especially with the pool that looks as clunky as this one does. It sets up X plays, but they're not the end of the world for me. They're 30 or 40 points, somewhere in that range. And I mean, there's still potential for 30 or 40 point X plays through here. I don't really want to be pulling a lot of tiles out of this pool because it's just so clunky. At the same time, there's a lot of consonants that score a lot of points, and that's kind of what I want. If I'm just trying to keep running, even if Matthew gets a bingo, if I can score 30 for the rest of the game, I'm going to win. So actually, I don't really mind digging pretty deep into this pool and drawing some of that stuff and scoring a bunch for the rest of the game. I'm going to play Elodia. My plan is just to run as fast as I can. And I get an F and an H. That's pretty big. Pretty nice stuff to have right now because they will net me big points. FEH is going to be 32, just a cheap play for a lot of points. I can always play one of the tiles off, keep the other one to score more points next turn. Probably doesn't have that X. If he did, he probably would have played it by now. X plays are super easy, so that's nice. I'm trying to figure out where the most conducive bingo line on this board is. I don't think it's here through this U or in. I think it's actually this spot over here. So if I am going to be trying to block next turn, I'm probably gonna do it up there. I can also make a little bit more of a conservative play here, like FUZE. So it's only 19 points, so the points I net out of it are not that high, but it's gonna reduce his bingos from this L. Okay, looking at this pool, there's very little Matthew's going to be able to do now in terms of bingos. There's still firepower for the points available. He's got, if he's got lax or something up here, he'll get a pretty good score. So I don't need to dink around too much and make, a play like EF, only get 15. He will catch me if I do stuff like that. FUSE is only 18. And I'd really rather not get rid of both the F and the H right now. Keep a lead like AAEHRU. Play fair for 28 or hair. I'd probably keep the H. Let me think about this. Which one is better on this board, the F or the H? F can go here for 20 something. H doesn't have a great spot available. I guess the F is a better thing to hold. Well, if I draw one of the C's, the H is going to be much better to have. And I also hate the F. I'm sure if you've watched any of my bingo or videos before this, you know that by now. So I am going to play fair. If Matthew bingos, that's not going to be fun, but I just don't see it in the cards or in the pool. And yeah, there's no more E's left. This pool is just getting junkier and junkier by the minute. I don't think there's any big J play he can have here. I don't think there was even last turn. Junta or something like that. Junta would be bad, but I've got a cool 6 on this rack. HEAUME. Home. Pretty sure that's how you spell it. HEAUME. Yeah, that's gotta be it. But on a board like this, there's not really a spot to play words like that. You just kind of dink strategically, if that's a thing. I somehow missed that spot for the X entirely, but only 37 points. It's not the end of the world for me. I've got a 20-point lead. There's only 3 in the bag. The J's not going anywhere. I'm probably going to win this game. HAE is an option. I'm not a huge fan of emptying the bag for Matthew because that puts him... I mean, I'm fine emptying the bag. He's not going to bingo out or anything like that, but if I make a 3-tile play, we'll both have 7 tiles on our rack, but it'll be his turn, so he's almost definitely going out before I am, and that's going to cost me some points. Rather play a little bit longer if I can. So maybe I can play home. The X is gone now. There's actually nothing he can underlap with that's dangerous at all. Trying to find, like, jail, I guess, is a decent scoring J play, but it's 27. I'm going to play home. I'm going to win the game after this. So this is going to be a... Oh, I did not notice JOCULAR was available, but that would have been very bad if he hit that. So I'm glad I made that play. Right play for the wrong reason. How many would that have been? Let's see, 20, 48? I don't think that would have won it for him anyway, but it would have made things really interesting. It may have. It's going to be kind of tough for me to go out with these tiles. Ooh, this is interesting. Matthews has set up JO, and I think there's nothing I can do about it. Woe is available. What that gives him coal. Ooh. All right. I have Fukai or Dukai to go out. So let's count this up. If I play Woe, I get 10. I'm up 373 to 327. I've got a 46-point lead. Coal is going to be... Let's see, sorry, brain fart, 45. I'm going to win the game by a narrow margin after that, assuming Cole is the best thing he has, and I think it is. I can also just not do anything about the spot. I don't know what that would do. He could play Arco, and it'll also be 45. I don't think, like, Carlo is a word. I'm pretty certain it's not. Carol is, but he's not going to be able to play HOL. It's not a word. So maybe it's better to just not do anything about that spot, but maybe I'm missing a 5 in ACLOR, and it's just a little unnerving. I don't see a play I can make that really scores significantly better than the other options I have. And I could play Ka for 18 instead. That keeps UI, which leaves me outs that score less than Woe. Just to be safe, I'll play Woe. Let me recount Cole. Yeah, it's still 45. I'll do it. I've got my 2 outs. It's going to win the game, and in case there's a random 5 I don't see in that rack, I've got protection from it now. Oh, I think Claro might be good. CLARO. Maybe. So yeah. There's enough of a chance of it being a word to justify this play. I know CLAROES is good, but I don't know if the singular is Claro as a 5 or Claro with the E at the end for a 6. If I only had one outplay, like say I only had Fukai, I didn't have Dukai, then maybe Matthew could have tried a strategy like ARF to block my play and keep Cole, but I could always drop an I right there to block it and thwart that strategy, so it works out nicely for me. I mean, it works out because I've got 2 outs, but even if I had had 1 out, it would be okay. I didn't realize I played this slowly. Wow, I thought I kind of autopiloted through this game. JO was certainly a nice last-ditch effort by Matthew to get back in the game. It was a clever play. I'm going to go out with Fukai and win the game by 14. Cool. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. I'll throw up a comment or something with my mistakes or questionable turns. Love to get your feedback. Adios.